A first today for Vice President Joe Biden in the campaign he wants to ride to the White House. In just a few hours, Mr. Biden will take part in his first town hall, taking questions from an audience of teachers in Houston, Texas. Our road warriors have it covered. They're on the trail today. Garrett Hake is in Houston for Biden's event. Vaughn Hilliard, he is in Greenville, South Carolina. He's talking specifically to African-American voters there as Senator Kamala Harris prepares for her own town hall at the best college in the United States of America on MSNBC tonight. Vaughn, we'll get to you in just a moment, but Garrett, let me start with you there in Texas. Why is this Biden's first stop since announcing his candidacy, his first town hall, I should say, and what should we expect?
Well, look, Craig, at this stage of the game, especially if you're the front runner, you can have your finance schedule dictate a little bit of the rest of your schedule. So you've got Joe Biden down here raising money in Texas, talking to Democratic donors. But Harris County, Houston, Texas, we're at the Breakfast Club downtown in Southwest Houston. It's a great microcosm of this city and of this state. You got 4 million people in Harris County. That's more people than live in Iowa and New Hampshire combined. And Texas is a Super Tuesday state. So there is real value in campaigning down here, particularly in this cycle. And, oh, by the way, you've got 2 other Texans on the primary ballot in this race so far. I've been talking to voters here all morning, a wide, diverse group of opinions about this race. What I have been struck by is the almost unanimity about some skepticism still about Biden, some work that he is still going to have to do to convince voters that he is the right man for this particular moment. Take a listen to some of these conversations.
It doesn't, because I don't really believe in it, just because I don't think you beat something so far right with something so middle ground. Joe Biden is very middle ground for me, and I think you need something a little more far left to combat that.
Yeah, he's Uncle Joe. Everybody likes their fluffy uncle. But he's Barack Obama's friend. He's got the cool black friend, right? That's all it is. Joe has a terrible history in the black community. And everybody just loves him because he's the fluffy old guy. He has given us no policies, and I like Joe Biden, but he's just not.
Like it.
I do like Joe Biden as a vice president.
So there's something there, Craig. And look, there are 22 other campaigns that would probably happily trade places with Joe Biden, the undisputed frontrunner across the board right now. But it's clear that he's going to have some work to do to turn those poll numbers into real committed support throughout the duration of what could be a very long primary.
I've said this to you before. I love it when we can hear from actual voters. Make sure that soundbite that you just played gets on the internet. Garrett there in Houston. Let me turn to upstate South Carolina. Vaughn, California Senator Kamala Harris is going to be at my alma mater, Wofford College, tonight with Lawrence O'Donnell for this town hall. That's about, if I remember correctly, roughly a half hour from where you are right now. The voters that you talk to, what are they most interested in hearing from the senator?
Yeah, good morning, Craig. We're about 40 minutes away from your campus of Wofford College down here over in Greenville, South Carolina. You asked, what do voters here looking for from the candidates? Well, to be clear, to even almost pre-butt that very question, if I may, a lot of these folks here, they want to hear from the candidates. I want to play for you a couple individuals that we spoke with, that their question on their mind was, in this case, who is Kamala Harris? Let me introduce you to Jana Campbell and Katarina Lopez.
What about Kamala Harris?
Kamala Harris. Haven't heard of Kamala Harris. Who is he representing? The Democratic Party or independent or?
Kamala Harris is actually Democratic Senator from California.
Oh, okay.
And she's a woman of color. She's going to be down the road over at Spartanburg.
God. I do know who you're talking about. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, it's okay. You'd be interested to know more about her, though.
Absolutely.
When I walked past, I heard you guys talking about Harris. Ms.
Kamala Harris?
Yes. I'm not sure how to say her name, but she sounds very interesting, and I was definitely wanting to hear a little bit more when I had walked past, because I tried to do like a quick Google search, but that just brought up a little bit of her campaigning and whatnot.
Now, to the defense of both of those women that you heard from, Craig, there are issues that are very much important to them. The first woman you heard from, Jana, she's a waitress. She's trying to raise enough money in order to go return to college. But what we hear, and again, to their defense, there's 23 candidates in this race. If you look across the country, Morning Consult released a poll last week in terms of showing where African-American voter support is. 45% is currently with Joe Biden, 18% with Bernie Sanders, then 10% for Kamala Harris. The reality is a large part of this comes down to name identification. Folks know who Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden is. Kamala Harris, she's just in her 3rd year in the U.S. Senate. She's from California. There is a large part, just because you've been here 6 times does not mean that the folks here in South Carolina are familiar with you. And what we heard from those women and other folks that we talked to is that they want to hear from these candidates. There's a good 8 months until the South Carolina primary. They will vote. They are in tune, but they first need to get to that introduction. And that's why a town hall like this from Kamala Harris tonight is important, because there's still much introducing on her behalf to do.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.